Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. I now call on Robert Blackwill, an American who's been in and out of politics and power and knows something how they work. Bob, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm delighted to be here in Marrakech. Let me start by having a look at the current record of global governance. If by that we mean how is the international community, its organizational structures, its architecture performing in meeting the current challenges to the global system? My answer is dismal. Let's do a brief but grim inventory. The recent global economic crisis was largely met through national efforts and minimal coordinated international action. The G20 contribution was to issue generalized and vague communiques, nothing much more. Progress in the Middle East peace process is the most unpromising in 25 years. It is difficult to see anything but increased tension and violence ahead. The quartet's efforts have demonstrably failed. Many quartet communiques, no progress. The international community mostly stands aside regarding the future of Iraq, even though its future will have a major impact on the Middle East writ large. Violence there is again rising. Witness the terrible twin bombings of only a week ago that killed 150 people and injured hundreds more. There's been very little actual political reconciliation between and among the Shia, the Sunni, and the Kurds. And except for the United States, the international community puts little or no political pressure on the Iraqi parties to deal with their differences. Iran continues its nuclear weapons program with the UN Security Council Perm 5+1 divided on how best to persuade or coerce Tehran to cease and desist. An American or Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities would, in my opinion, be a disaster. But so would Iran's acquisition of nuclear weapons, either real or virtual. The Perm 5+1 negotiations with Tehran have as yet produced nothing, and we hear in the last day that Tehran has rejected the deal that its representatives agreed to in Vienna. So the international community dithers. Vladimir Putin says crippling sanctions against Iran would be a mistake, and more centrifuges turn round and round in Iran. In short, many UN Security Council resolutions and discussions, no progress. The US and its allies are losing the war in Afghanistan, and Russia, China, and Iran all largely stand aside. Even though a victory by the Taliban and the boost it would give to jihadi terrorism worldwide would negatively affect their vital national interests. And many of the NATO allies avoid the fight in Afghanistan and will start heading for the door in 2010. Pakistan, the epicenter of global terrorism, which possesses dozens of nuclear weapons, continues to implode, and only the United States appears to be willing to make a major commitment to try to slow the Islamic surge, extremist Islamic surge in that country. How many foreign ministers have even visited Islamabad, as Hillary Clinton has just done? The problems between India and Pakistan continue. Terrorism against India emanating from Pakistan goes on as it has for 20 years. The international community stands aside in a perilous situation that could lead to the first war in human history between two nuclear weapon states. North Korea, isolated, desperately poor, if not starving, year after year successfully defies the United Nations and the international community in acquiring increased numbers of nuclear weapons and ever more sophisticated and longer-range delivery systems. The six-party talks have failed. Many communiques, no progress. The humanitarian tragedy in Sudan goes on unabated. Burma flouts the international system. The Doha round remains frozen. The NPT regime could be on the edge of collapse. The Copenhagen meeting on climate change is likely primarily to be full of overblown rhetoric. I'm not sure if the hot air emanating from Copenhagen will actually raise the Earth's temperature, but in any case, I expect no serious practical measures to emerge. Now, all of these problems, of course, are intrinsically difficult, but since they're difficult, aren't these the ones the international system should be concentrating on? Now, why such a dismal scorecard? Let me suggest a few reasons. First of all, nation states, and especially the major powers, define their interests primarily in narrow national terms. This, of course, is nothing new. It's been true since the League of Nations and indeed since the Athenian League, if not before. But in today's globalized world, the penalties for that narrow national approach are greater and greater.